Look at an oscilloscope, you say, what the heck is in here? What's the magic? If you look at an oscilloscope, as to say, the device that measures what is in there, what you find at the needle, you take the plexer, you take any expensive device, the cheap one or anything, you'll find this sort of thing. Have you seen anything of the sort before? At the moment, what we're going to do, we're going to talk about something that we only talk about. As I say, intensity of the treatment. Nobody has ever talked about that, and we're very, very thankful. So we keep talking about that, and that's very, very important because the intensity of the treatment is proportional to the spot duration, how long they keep the spot on for. Nora has already mentioned it before. The power of the arc. Some devices come with 1 power level, 2 power levels, 10, 12, 32, so on. Distance between the spots. And there's some reasoning for it. So you can say, for example, and you'll see, if you watch our videos, you'll realize, well, you may know that already. You can change the intensity of the treatment by changing these 2 parameters only. And this is also why certain devices come at 1 power level only. They may not even tell you during the training, but this is exactly what you're going to play with. Either the distance between the spots or the spot duration, because they actually come with 1 power setting only. In case of our devices and our device and other devices, since you can change that power of the arc, and then you keep these 2 constant and so on. At the beginning, when you're using our Beauty Tech, because we know the configuration of the Beauty Tech, use it 3 battery configuration, level 1. Everything is on the website, by the way, and all these presentations are on the website as well, the PowerPoint presentations. So the spot duration in the region of 1/4 of a second or 1/2 of a second. Power of the arc, level 1 with 3 batteries. Distance between the spots in the region of 2 to 3 millimeters. This is extremely low intensity treatment, especially for eyelid tightening. Now, what we're going to do in this presentation, we're just going to try and explain why we say it is the way it is, actually.
Can I ask you something, please?
Please, yes.
I know it's on my mind. We don't know what you mean by battery configuration. It's different.
Okay.
And other machines don't have that.
Okay. And when we designed the device, well, because I was there directing it, we had 4 batteries, and then I thought, well, there is a problem, but the 4 batteries, the power is too high at level 1. So I wanted to reduce the power level. In order to do that, we've actually changed the design of the device and allowed the use of 3 batteries. The use of 3 batteries, if you watch, we can send you the links because we already talked about that, and then I can show you tomorrow how to configure the device. It's very easy. And also we've done in a number of videos, so you can actually watch it even if I'm not here. You can watch it, but you're going to see it tomorrow if you wish. You can actually place 3 blue batteries and one dummy battery. And if you do it that way, then at level 1, the device works at very low intense, a very low power, so low that you can, I mean, if you're not really used to using this device, you cannot even generate the arc easily if you haven't got practice. I can, because I've done it for so many years, and it's second nature to me. So it's extremely low. We're talking about lower than the most expensive device's lower power setting. We already talked about it before. If you then use a 4 battery configuration, at level 1, you're going to have a slightly higher power level at the arc point.
So Andreas's pen doesn't get plugged in and charged. It comes with batteries.
Yeah.
And those batteries aren't just little 3A batteries. It's a special, what type of battery?
It's a special 3 AAA batteries, and you can buy them online.
Yeah.
Buy them online.
You can't buy them online because you get them on Amazon and eBay, which we don't have. So Sherry is importing them, but it's not just a little 3A battery, but it's
You can't just use a normal recharger. You can't just go buy a rechargeable battery charger at CNA and think it's going to charge it up. It's got to take a specific kind.
The machine comes with 3 batteries and a dummy battery.
Yes.
So if we want to use a 4th battery, we don't have.
No, do you have 4 batteries? Yes. Yes, but then immediately as you have the device, you go and source extra batteries because it's going to be your your only consumable, literally, is your batteries. Because if they go down, what's going to happen? The batteries go down. Normally when it works, when the batteries are fresh, you use it for 3-4 hours without any problem. When they start, yes.
So does your machine come with a charger?
No.
Yes, through permanent
It's
through.
a special charger.
Yes.
And special battery. So you can't just go and buy another charger.
Battery chargeable
Machine, and they said there was a charger. Does that come with the chip?
Mm-hmm.
It's got to come with, otherwise you can't work the device. But we still buy extra batteries anyway because it can only last so long, or what?
You recharge the batteries, but sooner or later they're going to decay, they're going to break because you're really using them. If you don't have backup batteries, you're going to find that you think they're charged and they're not. But also the battery charger is quite smart now. So it flashes if the batteries have had it. If they're not good, it flashes, you just throw them away. You've got to have enough backup in case whatever you've got fails. If it fails, you just replace it with new ones, and you carry on and on and on, and you don't have any downtime, because if you have enough charged batteries there for you to wait in case you don't have any downtime. You just replace the discharged batteries for the fresh ones, and you go. Please.
So if you have 2 clients booked back to back,
You must make
so
sure
then you'll have a second set of charged batteries. So you can just take out if it flashes the battery
So
energy
guys,
low.
when it's working tomorrow, it's changing batteries every
That's
now
what
and
you're
then.
saying. So
No.
we must get extra sets of batteries.
You must get extra set of batteries, but 2 clients, you use only 1, and you've got far more left. You can. Last time I've used the fresh batteries for over half a day. I don't know how many people are treated. I can't remember. Maybe 8. From 9 up until 2.
They're rechargeable.
9, and they were fresh and new, so completely recharged.
But even rechargeable batteries has got a lifetime anyway, so that's why
You've got to get them. The problem is because we've got so many clients, so we've seen it over and over again. They're all happy, they use it, they forget to buy the batteries. Then the batteries are, they're not good anymore, and they're panicking. They've got clients booked, and they can't really operate the device. So all we say is just get loads of them. So in case something goes wrong, you don't need to turn people away or anything like that, because it's a bit embarrassing if you don't have enough batteries there. If you haven't realized they've had it, the batteries have had it, and then all of a sudden they're stuck with the client there with the anesthetic on, and you cannot do anything. So get loads of, if you're using the Beauty Tech, get loads of batteries, and you're going to be okay forever. And they're quite inexpensive as well. They're pretty much nothing. We in the UK, in all our clients, we don't even, you tell, just go buy them yourself. This is where you buy them, go buy them yourself. Very easy. Okay. Yes.
What's the average lifespan of those batteries from your experience?
It depends how you use them. In the region of 8 full recharges, 8 to 10. The region of. Yes, any other question?
I just want to ask, what is the difference would be between existing your device with the new what's coming?
Oh, the new device, okay. Now, yes, okay, of course. No, I'll tell you all the secrets, it's not much. We're going to add more things. Some of the secrets have been already spelled out on YouTube. Now, as I said, the spot duration is very important, yes, and the intensity of the treatment. The power of the arc is important, and distance between the spots is important. Now, we're actually going to operate here because no device so far has got allows you any very good control over the spot duration. So in the new device, you're going to be able, in a certain way, actually in two ways to control that digitally. You can actually tell, dear device, please keep that arc on for at least 400 milliseconds. So as soon as the arc comes in, it counts up to 400 milliseconds. You know that's been actually done it for 400 milliseconds, at least. Or you can tell, I want to know exactly, you're going to stop operating exactly when the arc has been on for a total of 400 milliseconds. And I can tell you that that's a fine thing. I know it seems quite the same, but it's not. Because say, for example, you set it 400 milliseconds. You start the arc, but then you're not able to sustain it for some reason. Maybe your hand doesn't move really well. I don't know. You're not good at it. And then you want to put it on the same, so you want to know that in that spot you put the arc on for 400 milliseconds. So you put it for 200 milliseconds. If you want to make sure that it's going to be there for 400 milliseconds, then that device, the new device is going to tell, okay, I only counted 200 milliseconds, I need to put another 200 milliseconds there, so it's still on. It waits for you to release another 200 milliseconds of arc at that point. And then once it counted on top in total for 100 milliseconds, it stops operation. Do you understand?
Next year.
Yes, do you understand? Sort of. I mean, I talk about it in a few videos online, but I can go in great detail because this is something I've been thinking about for a long, long time. This is one of the many things. We're going to have many other things, like frequency modulation. Nobody's done it. But even the duration, the electronic control of the duration, why hasn't anyone done it? Why are we not doing it? It's relatively easy to do, so we're going to do it. So also the frequency modulation. As you vary the frequency of the output of the device, even the plexer doesn't have it. They don't have it, but we're going to have it. We're going to allow you to change the frequency from one parameter to another, because according to how you change the frequency, you're going to have different effects on the skin. Then we're going to allow you the positive, the anodic arc, and the cathodic arc. Whether it's effective or not, I'm not sure. However, they do market it, so we're going to give it to you as well. So in whatever new things that, and we're going to devise the new device so that you can modulate, you can change things. So if somebody one day wakes up and say, oh, I invented the plasma supersonic duper square wave, and so you can actually replicate it in our device very likely. So you're going to be able, it's going to be a high-tech sort of thing, where you're going to be able to change the output of that electrode, of that needle, pretty much the way you want. So if they come up with another marketing stunt, you can replicate it there. This is only one of them. There's many other things that they call plasma. We're going to give you the possibility to use argon with the device. Instead of, they say, oh, this is the fake, the dock and all that nonsense. No. We're going to give you the possibility of using argon with the device. That means that you can actually use it for cold plasma and skin resurfacing in a certain way, which is not possible with the current arcing that we've got on the market quite easily. So you've got that as an add-on, and many other things. But no secrets. We're keeping no secrets. We're publishing everything online. But we haven't actually got the time to do that yet. But we're actually in the process of doing it. But it's one of the several things. But it's not going to be portable anymore. It's not going to be portable because we're adding so many things that it's going to be quite hard. Another thing, obviously, we're going to get the shot counter. So you're going to say, well, on this client, I want to count the number of shots I've done. You're going to get that as well. I mean, there's so many things that these devices, they sell basic devices for a lot of money. And then you get a laser, an IPL. Yeah, in the IPL, they've got a shot counter. Why are we not getting it on our very expensive devices of the sort? Are we joking? So we're going to do it. They don't do it, we do it. So basically, what we're preparing to do, if you're coming to us, hopefully next year, hopefully if we finish it by next year, you're going to find the full range, from the inexpensive to the most expensive, actually the one that dances and sings and all that, and you can do many things with it.
So we get you with it.
I can do my moves, so yeah. Okay. Yes, it's just just one of the many applications that it's gonna have. But if we can, then we're gonna do the what do you call it, the needle shaping sort of thing, or the needle wrapping, where they put the you're gonna be able to do the acupuncture and inject currents. They claim you're going to have the effect of a filler. We already studied the device that they have sold for several thousand euros each, and we're going to add it on. So it's going to have many, many more things, but it's going to be specialized. It's not going to be as if it's one of these devices has arc, microneedling, micropigmentation, and all that. No, it's going to focus on electrical arcing and aesthetic treatments that are very, very specialized. Those things that the doctors are saying that they can only do. And we're going to study also the legislation to make sure that we'll try and still remain within the aesthetic remit as much as possible, because there's a few changes in the European legislation. So we'll work in order to make sure that we can still give it to you as beauty practitioners. I'm not saying beauty therapists because people say, yeah, beauty therapist. No. So, yeah.
Just a
Okay.
question.
Yes.
Is it worth our while to go and study an electrical engineering degree?
Possibly. It depends. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, in hindsight, I don't think so. I've done it. In hindsight, I don't think so. I would start studying salsa. It's much more fun. And you can hire the engineer. To answer that question, yeah, I answer your question, yeah. So we can do salsa together. But from beginner, because I'm not good at it. Okay. Any other question? Okay, good. So, in this presentation, we're gonna hopefully you understand by the end why we're saying that. Look, ladies, the intensity of the treatment is not due to the power level only. It's due to these three parameters. Now, this picture here shows you electrode desiccation, but it's the same. You have the same thing in electrofulguration. Basically, you have the arc, and you have the heat that spreads into the skin. When you have the arc, I mean, if you try this treatment, obviously you've experienced the pain. The pain is only that intense heat that you get when you get that arc inside on your skin. Why do you feel the pain? Because you have heat inside the skin, and that heat causes the collagen stimulation and the collagen regeneration, hence the skin tightening and skin rejuvenation. And we've got the same thing. Again, this is fulguration, if you remember that term, yes? Which is something that's been known for a long time. Using a high-frequency electric current applied with a needle-like electrode. Remember high frequency, okay? Somebody said that the Accor, guys, that they're only low-frequency device on the market, and their technical specifications is secret, is a trade secret, okay? Means, to me that means not much, because basically high frequency and low frequency, you define what it is. I can say that 10 kilohertz is low frequency, or I can say it's high frequency. Now, actually, when we're talking about serious stuff, in the textbooks, in medicine, when we say high frequency, we intend those frequencies. When I say frequency, if you look at these, again, at the socket in there, you'll find a sine wave. Do you know what a sine wave is? Yes? Anyone doesn't know? Please tell me.
Me.
You don't know. Anyone else doesn't know? Anyone else doesn't know? Seriously, we're all engineers here. two people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. Do you know? Can you please explain what a sine wave is? Good. No one knows. I thought you knew. Seriously, ladies?
Ready for you to tell us.
Okay. all these very expensive things, if you look at an oscilloscope, you see, what the heck is in here? What's the magic? If you look at an oscilloscope, as to say, the device that measures what is in there, what you find at the needle, you take the plexer, you take any expensive device, the cheap one or anything, you'll find this sort of thing. Have you seen anything of the sort before? Have you seen it before? This is 0, this is voltage, and this is time. Okay? This is the period, and the frequency we call T, and the frequency is, I'm not going to go into this, it's too boring, okay? I'm not going to do anything with it. Dear clients, I've got a sine wave here. £500. Now, that F here, F frequency, there is 50 or 60 hertz. 50 in Europe, 60 in the US, I can't remember in South Africa. If you touch it, because of the frequency is very low, you get a current, you get electrical stimulation, you really feel it, you cannot actually, if you get a really, a big shock, you're paralyzed for a while. This is why you've got the taser guns, so you get paralyzed. They're using the sort of frequency, so you get electromuscular stimulation, which paralyzes you momentarily. It's painful, and hopefully it doesn't kill you. It kills very rarely. And this is at low frequencies in the region between, say, a few hertz, say 50 hertz, say 40 hertz, or even less hertz, up until maybe, I don't know the exact figures, say in the region of 1,000 maybe, or even less, say 500 hertz, for instance. I don't know the figures as much. When we say high frequency there, talking about serious stuff, not the marketing stuff, we intend those frequencies where the frequency is so high that even if you get in touch with that needle, with the sine wave, with that voltage which is very high, you feel the heat, but you cannot actually, your muscles don't feel anything. The current goes through only the surface of your skin and not inside your body. Therefore, it's not going to kill you. Therefore, it's not going to cause you any harm from an electrical standpoint. You cannot die out of it. Although you've got 1,000 kilovolt out of these devices, when the arc goes and it touches your skin, you just feel the heat. You feel the burn, but you don't feel the electricity. This is what we intend by high frequency in the realm of serious, just reputable science, not the science fiction of trying to market you anything. Okay, so that's what I wanted to say. Sorry for taking so long and being so boring. This is what happens when you do too much engineering. This is, again, electrophotoration. It's very important we put this picture in there a long time ago because at that time it was a new technology, and I said, hang on a second. In the textbooks in medicine, they actually discovered it many years ago. Okay, it's already there, it's very well explained. And normally they call about this thing, say, fulgor, which is, if you look at Latin, it means actually electrical arcing, okay? And this is the nice spark. You recognize the red spark, which is not the real plasma, okay, the red one. Somebody remembers that, yeah? This is blue is not, the red is not, maybe it's white, the real plasma, who knows? But anyway, this is the arc, and this is the carbonization spot. Somehow, and this is in a very old textbook. They actually discovered this so many years ago. A new technology. Oh yes. How comes it's very similar? Anyway, so what happens is they say with the new technology, again, understand that sometimes I'm using a sarcastic tone there, that this is the energy, the effect is only on the epidermis, nothing goes in there. So somebody please explain to me, how come the area becomes red immediately, almost immediately, a few minutes after you actually place a dot on the skin, and then when you do it on the upper eyelids, you get swollen eyes. Why? Even with the expensive devices where they say the heat is not spread inside the skin. So it doesn't make any sense. So what happens is, okay, I'll just read this, quite interesting. A common misconception is that the arc is the area is carbonized without giving up any heat in the surrounding tissues, which is actually what they even wrote on websites and so on. This is not because once you apply the arc, the area, this is not true, because once you apply the arc on the area becomes red within 30 minutes or an hour. The signs of a skin burn are evident over the following days, especially after plasma skin tightening. You've seen the swelling. It is clear that the heat is given up to the surrounding tissues, otherwise you wouldn't get that swelling. Remember that the skin tightening is caused by the heat released into the skin. This can be done with lasers, plasma, etc. So the main concept I'm actually talking about here is that fundamentally what we're doing is heating up the skin. This is why we've got the skin tightening effect. This is me. I couldn't open my eyes, okay? Am I pretty? So then I added on these this very nice red lines. Please don't laugh, it's serious stuff, come on. Yeah, pretty. Okay, now this is what happens in reality. You place that spot in there, that little arc for a certain amount of time, and you feel a bit of pain. And the pain is because there's a lot of heat released into the skin. You can actually, and there's therefore the heat propagation is there. And nobody can deny it. They can deny it. Well, fortunately, unfortunately, I'm not reinventing the wheel. I've told you that you do actually happen to observe a bit of swelling, redness, and swelling. Therefore, you would suspect that heat has been released into the skin. Maybe it's a skin burn. Maybe. No. But this is what we found in the textbooks. Oh, news! When you've got electrical arc and in contact with the skin, there is heat propagated, and they even in this page of textbook even tell you roughly the temperatures of the various tissues layers in there. You can actually find this presentation online anyway and look at it. This is the heat, how the heat is propagated using electrode desiccation. This is electrofulguration, which is electrical arcing, okay? Electrofulguration is only arcing. We can call it fibroblast, plasma, arc, electrofulguration, whatever you like. It's the same thing. You've got a spark. Here there's no spark. It's just the rod or the piece of the electrode that is touching the skin, and that also causes the heat propagation, okay? Now, I placed this picture there just to illustrate one single point. Just let's assume I'm using the electrode at the same power level. All I'm doing is changing the duration of the arc. Let's say here I do it for 0.5 seconds, 500 milliseconds. Here I do it for 2 seconds. Here I do it for 6 seconds, for instance. If the longer I keep the arc on, the more the more skin I'm going to actually burn, the deeper I'm going to go. Okay, that's a very important point. That's all I'm trying to do. And it's not as if I just say it, just try it yourself. If you happen to have a colleague who's got the expensive devices, the ones that they claim is not the case, try with their devices as well. You'll find the exact same thing. If you keep the super duper, oh, by the way, the plexer, I've got to say this. The plexer, they even say in a scientific paper, signed by doctors and done by doctors by universities, that using the plexer, you don't actually have any effect onto the dermis, and they do the histological proof of that. They forget to mention how long they keep the arc on for. That's a very interesting thing. But then you take that same device, you do the experiment, and you find, oh, hang on a second, I can actually go and burn as much skin as I want up until the bone if I want, if I just keep it long enough. This is a very important point. And also this other point, again, I'm staying here long enough so you remember. Look how much heat is propagated here. It's much more than there. The longer you keep it, not only you're going to eat up the skin, but you're also going to propagate more and more heat. Okay, that's a very, very important point. This, again, just to illustrate the same point, you can actually go as deep as you want using electrical arcing. Remember the distance between the spots, duration of the arc, and so on. In the spot operation, the amount of heat the skin is injected into the skin is proportional to the duration of the arc, intensity of the arc, distance between the spots. Okay, why? Remember this, what I've done there, one night I couldn't sleep. I said, we've got to really explain this thing. So let's assume now that we only got this arc here. We're going to put a spot in there. Now let's focus on this area only. In this area only, as long as we got the spot there, the heat that this area is going to feel is the heat propagated by that spot there. The longer I keep it on for, the more the heat. But then, let's assume, all of a sudden I put another spot in there. In that same area, a few seconds later, this same area is going to feel more heat from this spot there. So you're going to have more heat on the same area. You're adding things up. This is why the distance between the spots is very important. Again, I'm actually doing it again, prove it with this example again. It's not proving it, but the proof is there. The proof is there if you do the treatments. If you just observe what happens after you do a treatment, after you try to put the spots a certain distance and see what the effects are. The proof is there, and you can actually, you don't need all this. This is just to make you understand from a logical standpoint why it is that way. So if you do understand that, then this concept here is going to be much easier for you to remember. This is why we're actually explaining it. So you remember that, because that means nothing really. So let's say the point, we call it point X. This is point X, okay? So in point X, we've got this spot here. We're going to say, okay, we're going to put an electrical arc in there, a spot in there, for whatever amount of time, let's say 500 milliseconds, just for instance. At that point X, we're going to get the heat where we're going to call X2 from that point. And there's only X2 up until I decide at a certain point, hang on, beside that I'm going to put another spot I'm going to call 1. And then at a point X, we're going to get more heat from that spot that I call 1. So at that point, after I place that spot in there, we're going to get that heat plus that heat. So you're going to get not exactly double the heat, but you're going to get obviously more heat once I put that spot in there. Do you understand it? Is that clear? Yeah. So let's say now I'm going to, instead of placing it there, I'm going to place it a bit closer. What do you think that at that point, I mean, the X2 felt, if I place it there, this spot in here, sorry, the X1, what is it going to be, more or less if I place it here, for instance? More, because it's closer. So this is why we're saying, you want to increase the intensity of the treatment, just place these spots closer together. This is why. It's not, I'm not using rocket science. I'm using just as much common sense as I possibly can. So again, remember, so this is meant for you to remember and keep it crystal clear. Spot duration. Then we've got, oh, very nice. And then we've got, and finally, area covered by the treatment. This is pretty much the main purpose of this presentation and all this bilam here and whatever I said now is for you to remember this particular thing. Any questions?
I just know if you look at on YouTube, there's lots of videos and what have you on YouTube, and you want to be so careful you don't
flocking to what's shown on YouTube because are they doing it correctly or aren't they? Some people think that, you know, when you look at YouTube and you see these perfect, beautiful, big brown spots going right around. But immediately I can see the intensity is too high. You know, you must watch Andreas tomorrow. When he puts those spots, you don't even see them. You start seeing them the next day when the little scabs fall. But when you watch it on YouTube, oh, they've got these brown spots, brown spots, brown spots, brown spots, brown, and they're heavy spots. I mean, this is what he's explaining here.
The other thing is,
you need that intensity. You don't need it. You have to leave it there for 3 seconds instead of 1 second or half a second.
the other thing, one of the reasons why we've got so much credibility is that not only are we online, by being online, we are subject to constant scrutiny, especially at the beginning. The amount of disappointment was quite amazing, because so what we're saying really not only does it make sense, but it does actually work. So just otherwise they would actually wouldn't have allowed us to do it this way. So we're really careful about what we say, and this is the things that are closest to things are how they are as we can actually make them. Okay, so hopefully that's quite clear. Yeah, if you don't have any questions, I'll just move on.